You're listening to Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast. I'm Kimberly Evans, and I've been planning incredible events for the past 16 years. I'm passionate about connecting people, creating purposeful gatherings, and making the most out of every moment. Join me as we learn together how to find joy, celebrate the simple things in life, use events to grow your business, and have a whole lot of fun along the way. Every day can be a reason to celebrate. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life. Today on Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, I'm chatting with Chelsea Senglow, financial advisor with IG Wealth. She is a wife and a mother of a 2-year-old daughter, and she understands so well how, as a business owner or professional, how valuable your time is. Chelsea has been in the financial industry for 10 years. She leverages all of the IG Wealth management resources to create a team-based approach to create a financial strategy that is completely customized to your life and business. Using her knowledge and experience to create comprehensive financial plans that give her clients peace of mind, so while they are busy building their empires, their financial positions are well taken care of. I am so delighted to have IG Wealth on board for our Shine Collective Canada Summit that's coming up in April 2021, and it is my privilege to have the opportunity to get to know Chelsea and shine a light on the amazing women in the financial industry who are supporting female business owners. So stay listening to hear our incredible conversation. Before we get started today, I want to ask you a favor. I would be so grateful if you would take the time to leave an Apple Podcast review. It'll only take a minute. You can even press pause right now, scroll down on the podcast home screen, and take that minute to leave a review. It makes a world of difference as I grow Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast. And in return, I want to do you a favor. When you leave a review, you will be automatically entered to win a sweet treat grazing box. It's that simple. Leave a review and you are automatically entered to win. Now, on with the show. Hi, Chelsea. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Hi, Kimberly. Thanks for having me.
This is so great. I was so happy to have been virtually introduced to you by our mutual friend and your colleague, Catherine. And we are just so excited to have IG on board for our Shine Collective Summit event that is coming up next spring. And IG has come on board right within the kickoff of our event as one of our title branded sponsors, and we just could not be more excited to have the incredible wealth of knowledge and expertise that women like yourself are able to bring to all of the women that are going to be attending this awesome event.
Yeah, we are so excited. IG sent out an email just to get a feel if anyone was interested, and I jumped right on that. I wanted part of this for sure. I'm so excited.
That is amazing. So before we kind of dive further into the event and stuff, I would love for you to just give us a little background on you and how you kind of began your career in the financial industry.
Sure. I guess I'll just start with a little bit about myself. My husband and I have been married for 4 years. We have a 2-year-old daughter, Evelyn, who keeps us very busy.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing I do for I'm a judge for provincial level synchronized swimming.
Wow.
So I swam for a number of years. My sister and I both grew up at the pool, and she's still very active in the sport as a coach. So that's just a passion of ours. What else about me? I graduated from the U of S with a bachelor degree from the College of Commerce. So I majored in finance. One fun fact, I graduated, I was only 21, so I wasn't ready to start the real world yet. So I actually moved to Orlando, Florida for a year, and I worked at Walt Disney World.
No, you did not. That is such a cool fact to be able to have on your bucket list.
Yeah, so if you have any Disney questions, I can help there too.
Well, do you want to know what's really hilarious is literally we were probably one of the last guests to escape out of Disney World just now before this whole pandemic hit a couple months ago. So we had our last day there on March the 5th. And I think it was within sort of a week or so, a few days after that
everything closed down after it. So we were so grateful that we got to experience our time at Disney World, because we had done Disneyland a couple times, but had never yet been able to get down to Florida. So we absolutely loved it. And we have been thinking back on all of those beautiful Disney memories now, as we've been locked in our houses and backyards for the last couple months.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that worked out for you guys.
That is such a cool fact. Well, I feel like we could do a whole nother Disney episode. Maybe that'll be in the future.
We totally could. I can talk Disney forever.
I love it. Well, I look forward to it.
And then, when I got back from Orlando, I started working for Scotiabank as a financial advisor. And that's actually where I met my husband. He was working as a teller part-time there while he was finishing school.
And love just blossomed in the bank.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And then at the bank there, I completed my license to sell mutual funds, and I received my PFP designation. And then I worked for Scotia actually for 9 years, and I really loved being able to help my clients, and I have a passion for financial planning. I just started to feel that the bank was no longer a platform that was supporting and enabling me to help my clients in the way that I really wanted to. So I decided I needed to make a change. My dad has actually worked for IG Wealth Management since I was 8 years old.
Oh, so you grew up knowing all about IG.
Yeah, I grew up there. I went to their kids' Christmas parties and all that sort of
That's so awesome.
Mm-hmm. So he actually set up a meeting with Colin and Brandon, the division and region directors. And I was actually on mat leave at the time when I met with them. And they just really let me know all the changes that IG Wealth has gone through over the last 2 years. And their core values and vision as a company really aligns with how I personally feel and what I want to offer and provide for my clients. So I made the change, and I'm so happy that I did.
Wow, that is so great. It's interesting how sometimes life experience and life circumstances, like I'm sure you even going through the process of knowing that you were going to be going on a mat leave, I find even just little pauses and stops and things that are kind of coming into change, and obviously having a baby changes worlds and in ways we can never predict, right? And it probably was sort of one of the things like in your mindset too, about just knowing that you wanted to make sure that if you're going to be going back to work and leaving your little baby in daycare or at home or somewhere, you want to be passionate about what it is that you're doing and feeling like your purpose for doing that is meaningful.
Oh, that's so true. I couldn't have said it better myself, really.
Yeah, I felt the same way. I have 2 daughters, and when they were really little, that was always my thing. Like, I was busy. I was an entrepreneur, was a partner in the business that I owned at the time, and I was like, I can't justify missing lots of moments with them if I don't absolutely love what I do. And I did love what I do, so it still was a massive juggle, but at least you didn't feel like you were going to something that was sucking your soul out of you, as well as leaving your kids to be watched by somebody else during the day, right?
Yeah, and especially since what's going on in our world today, I'm just so grateful that I can be working from home and looking after Evelyn with her daycare being closed, and just being flexible and able to do that. It's just such a relief, really.
Well, it is, and I would imagine, like, if we're going to like look back to the financial industry and all of that from years and years ago, watching how this has evolved into, like, this might sound stereotypical, but I would say that this would generally have been more considered like a male industry versus a female industry, right? And I think it's so amazing how I'm just seeing so much growth and so much forward thinking from what I'm learning about IG as I've learned more about them throughout this process of connecting through our Shine Summit event.
Yeah, I can definitely say when we're having meetings and I'm looking around the table, there's not always very many women in the room. And I really just think there is a passion for women have different needs and concerns when it comes to financial planning, and I just have this huge passion to specifically design and cater plans towards them because their lives are a little bit different than sometimes men's are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's amazing. So what would you say right now, especially in these last few months with this whole pandemic, and obviously every single person, and it doesn't really matter what industry you're in, everybody has had to learn how to pivot and look at their business and company differently. And for some people, it has been a lot more catastrophic. Some people are feeling okay. Some organizations are thriving. You know, everybody is in a very different place in this. But what would you say this whole pandemic? I would imagine that you would maybe have clients or people that are around that maybe were having some stresses or anxiety towards financial planning during this time when everything is so uncertain.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, especially with the market fluctuations that were happening, we had a lot of calls in the month of March for sure. I think one great thing that has come out of this is just our growth in technology and how I'm able to run my business that way. IG Wealth really supported us in the technology side, and they were very quick at rolling out things that would greatly help our conversations with our clients. So we have access to things like Microsoft Teams now, so we can have virtual meetings and conversations. And then also we have access to DocuSign, so clients can literally sign all their paperwork from the safety of their own home. So I'm just very grateful that we were able to get access to this technology so quickly, and I can only see it improving the way we do business moving forward.
Isn't that the truth? Like, I feel like as complicated and tricky and frustrating and everything in between, everything has been here with sort of having not much notice for anybody to be able to pivot and spin things as quickly as they can to make things run as smoothly as possible. There have been so many great things that have come out of this too that I think a lot of businesses, myself included, are going to realize is actually helping them in the future because of all of the things that they were able to get figured out and think differently about now, whether they wanted to or not.
Yeah, I think it kind of pushed us out of our comfort zone, but I think it'll only benefit us moving forward.
I totally agree. So what would you say then? And I feel like right now while I'm having conversations and talking to people in different industries and colleagues of mine and people who own businesses and who are leaders in their industry, it's so interesting to hear these conversations right now because everything feels like had we been having this conversation 2 months ago, we might have been talking about very different things. But now that we're in the middle of all of this, there's kind of no choice but to have new conversations about the way business is moving forward. So what would you say for even right now, you're feeling is sort of the most rewarding part about what you get to do to help people in your industry?
Yeah, I think over the past couple of months, our conversations have really changed, and I've actually gotten to know my clients more on a personal level. Instead of me calling and just going straight into kind of the financial side of things, I actually start most of our conversations just asking how their day is, what their day-to-day lives look like right now, and even if there's any way I can help them, not just on a financial level, but on a human level. So I think I definitely have gotten to know my clients better in regards to that, which is so rewarding because really I just want to build relationships with my clients, and I want to just show them what a financial plan can really do to impact their quality of life. It's not something that they teach in school. It's not something that parents always talk to their kids about. So I love having the conversations and just trying to help people achieve their goals and their dreams.
Well, and I think too, like, I feel like because there's choices and there's things that people can make and choose when they're trying to figure out what to do with their life and their finances. But I think sometimes the idea, if somebody doesn't have a financial plan or doesn't have a financial planner that they have been meeting with, I feel like there's sometimes this like mystery around the idea of what a financial planner does. And as somebody of myself who is not in the financial industry, but I do have a financial planner, it wasn't until sort of my husband and I started figuring things out in our life that we realized sort of what the benefits were. And I don't even know how we made the decision to do that. But I think there's a lot of people that don't necessarily even realize how much of a benefit that could be for them. Can you speak to that at all? Like, what would you say to maybe to my listeners would be more so business owners or entrepreneurs or people who have a lot of things that they're juggling with their own personal finances and their own self or family, as well as trying to run a business? What would you say would be something that would be a reason as to why you would be able to actually help make their life less stressful and more planned out than what maybe they're currently doing?
Yeah, so I think a plan in any, goal that you're trying to reach is always a good idea, especially if it has specific guidelines or benchmarks that you can kind of compare or measure against. I'm going to answer this question more specifically, I think, as it relates to women, just because of who our audience is and what I'm passionate about. But I really start out by reviewing their current business structure along with a team of experts. I don't work just on my own. I utilize experts in any way that I can as well. But we really want to make sure that business owners are set up as tax efficiently as possible, because we want more money to stay in the business, which will help them grow. So some sort of simple questions to that may be, should I incorporate or not? Should I be just doing this business under my own personal name, or should I create an actual company to do this business under? And the pros and cons of that. So that's one area that people don't often think about in terms of how they can help their business grow. And then I also like to shine a spotlight on themselves personally and make sure that they're planning for their own retirement. I know as a business owner myself, your main focus is always on the business. And people need to stop and plan for their own retirement, things like RSPs, tax-free savings accounts, but then also a business succession plan. So what retirement might look like for their business and how that all comes into play as well.
Wow.
And then lastly, I also like to review the business owner's insurance and wills to make sure that not only the business but also their family are adequately protected, because they've worked so hard to build both.
That is such a well-rounded approach. I think that there is so much confusion sometimes in starting a business and trying to figure out what the right thing is. And I think one of the often things that small business or entrepreneurs would be guilty of is trying to do everything themselves. And we're trying to just get everything done, but it feels so overwhelming. And sometimes you have all these questions and you're just not really sure who to ask or where to go, or it feels like I remember when I was starting my business, like it just feels like a domino effect of, well, I need to do this, but oh wait, there's these 5 things that have to happen first. Oh, and then I need to do this. Oh, but I need to make sure I have that done first. And you just I found myself sometimes spinning in circles a little bit, especially when it came down to these types of questions like incorporating or not, or how does this all flow together? And it sometimes feels like you need like 10 different specialists just to kind of get this sorted out. But I love how your approach is almost more of a one-stop shop type of thing, where you can ask these questions and get guidance in a full big picture rather than having 10 different people who only know tiny pieces of your story. You're able to kind of put that all together.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. We want to help as much as possible, and sometimes going back and forth in between numerous consultants, and that can be hard and timely too. So we work with people's accountants, we work with people's lawyers, so it tries to stop the back and forth and the in-between person having to ask all the questions, whereas we can sit down together and make a full plan all together for you.
That's amazing. That like gives me a sense of relief, and I'm not even in the situation of doing that right now.
That's great.
Yeah, I love that.
A few summers ago, we were putting in a new fence in our backyard and made sure to contact Sask Energy first. They want you to know what's below. Hitting an underground utility line can be costly and very dangerous. Always plan ahead. Get a line locate for any digging projects you have going on this summer, like if you happen to be building a deck or putting in a new fence. It's absolutely free to have Sask Energy come out, and it will definitely allow you to stay safe and save yourself the expense of contacting an underground utility line. Visit clickbeforeyoudig.com to request your free line locate today.
So what would you say in your role then, as you're building relationships with your clients and you're figuring out what their needs are, and I would imagine that there's also a lot of challenges in this role. What would you say are some of the parts of financial planning that are maybe unexpected challenges that you didn't necessarily see before you got into this industry?
I think some of the hardest conversations I've had to have is sitting down with maybe someone that you're meeting for the first time, and they're hoping to retire soon, and maybe they never had a plan, or they thought they had a plan, but it wasn't created for their specific circumstances or updated regularly. And then having to tell them that they likely won't be able to retire at the age they were hoping to, or with the income that they were hoping to have to live that dream retirement. I think that's the hardest conversations that I have to have.
Which kind of right away comes back to the beginning again of seeing the importance of doing it properly from the beginning, right? It's kind of like a come full circle type of conversation. Like, I bet you those hard conversations help you even further asking the right questions to people who are at a more beginning stage in life and business versus getting to retirement stage, hey?
Exactly. And that's not to say there's nothing we can do to help them. There's always something we can do to try to get them to their goals. But having the conversations earlier, it just makes things easier.
Absolutely. So what would you say what would be your mission, I guess, and just IG as a company, you being under the umbrella of that, how do you guys inspire business owners and actually help them understand how planning for the future can enhance their business success? Because I imagine that there would be people who think that they don't need this, but then maybe are never really actually getting to experience their life and business the way they probably could did they have a better plan.
Yeah, that question is a little bit daunting for me because of the word inspire.
Like, how does inspire and financial planning come into the same sentence?
Yeah, like, I know it's so true, and I love how you put that. I guess I've just not ever thought of it as inspiring people, but I love that. I'm going to use that.
Happy for you to token that phrase. Absolutely.
Yeah. I guess, again, going back to women in particular, they have very unique concerns and opportunities. We're usually the caregivers, and this may be for children, but also for aging parents. And sometimes this can take away from time spent on ourselves and on our businesses. That's not to say our partners don't help, but it's just we have, caregiver natures.
Yeah.
It usually works out that way. So I just really want to sit with women, talk about them and their life and what they want that to look like. And then some people don't like the word plan, and they don't want to have their life structured in that sort of form, but even just having the conversation so they can think about it or know what they want their future to look like, and that's on how to make that happen. Sometimes that works just as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think I am an event planner for a living, so planning is in my DNA, but I feel like there is a little bit of a stigma sometimes about being too planned. But in my opinion, while I really appreciate having people around me who are not planners, because it helps bring me down a notch for somebody who's always in a planning state of mind, but it balances me out a bit. But I also feel like not having a plan is still a plan, right? Not having a plan is still making a conscious decision to not make choices on different things, which is still a plan. It's just often not going to get you to places in the way that could maybe be the most beneficial in a timely manner. But for some people, I guess they're just okay with that.
Yeah, some people think it'll happen eventually.
Right.
I'm a firm believer, unless you put actions into, your plan, how is it going to happen? You have to have certain markers so you know you're on track and things like that.
Well, and it often takes it having the right people and the right team alongside you in your life and business to be able to make those things happen. And I think sometimes if you're not paying attention and seeing that, you don't actually realize. I was having this funny conversation the other day with a friend of mine whom we plan different events together. And I plan the event, and she dreams a lot of the ideas up for the event, but I'm the one that actually executes them. And we were joking and laughing about it because I think she said to me, oh, hey, yeah, I'm not exactly sure how many people are showing up. Like, it might be 15, it might be 20. And I looked at her and I was like, how do you think the table gets set for 20 people if you're telling me there's 15? She's like, I don't know. I just thought there was like a magical fairy that just like walked in with like all of the things that this event needed. And we were laughing about it in that sense based on our personalities, which it's interesting how different everybody has unique gifts and unique strengths. And I think what I love about the idea of, like, I am so pro financial planning because of the ways that it has helped me in my life personally and in business, that I think that I would never trust myself to take that upon myself, because I know that I do not have the expertise and the ability to do that on my own. And it's nice to have somebody with an outside perspective, being able to look in on what's happening in my life and my business, to be able to say, hey, have you ever thought of this? With something that's never in my mind, because in your own life, right?
Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's hard. Like, this is the first business as a financial planner that I've ever owned. So at IG Wealth, we all own our own businesses. IG is just there to support us. And I've never owned my own business before, so I'm learning new things about being a business owner all the time. But you don't know what you don't know, right?
That's
so
right.
You don't know what questions to ask. You don't always know what you should be doing. So it's really nice to have help in that area.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly right. And I think that in all areas of business is always so helpful when you're able to find that community and team of people, whether it's people that you are like working for you on a contract basis, or colleagues, or just other people in an industry, or somebody like your financial planner or accountant and lawyer who are actually able to just ask you the right questions. I think that just gives such a peace of mind, because I know for myself, I'm often second guessing myself and thinking, like, am I doing this the right way? Is there a better way to be doing this? And you just kind of want to like snap your fingers and have like somebody pop into the room and be like, hey, can I help you?
Yeah. I know,
it's like,
so true.
It's like the Staples easy button. Like, you just want that like red button to be like, help, help. Here we are, we're in business. I need a question right now. And sometimes I am not a patient person. So I like the answer to just come to me. And it's nice to know that when you do have somebody like a financial advisor who does know your background and does know what's going on in your life and business, that you can shoot them an email or a phone call and be like, hey, this is something that's come up. It's sort of just like having another piece of ammo in your back business pocket of something that can just make life easier rather than feeling like you always have to figure everything out on your own.
I remember my high school graduation so well, even though I'm celebrating my 20-year high school reunion this year. So many celebrations have had to be canceled because of the current state of the world, but that doesn't mean that a graduation milestone should be any less memorable. If you were on the lookout for a creative way to celebrate the graduate in your life, I've curated an adorable, delicious, and unique graduation sweet treat grazing box. A beautiful, delectable candy grazing box can be shipped right to your door or as a surprise to the graduate's doorstep, making them feel extra celebrated. Doorstep delivery is available in Saskatoon and shipping is available across Canada. And because we could all use a little more joy right now, as a listener of Celebrating Simple Life, the podcast, you get an exclusive code to receive 15% off with the code CELEBRATE15. You can click right from home at celebratingsimplelife.com and use the code CELEBRATE15 because today is a great day to celebrate.
Yeah, and I actually love it when clients ask me questions that maybe I don't know the answer right off the top of my head, because it's a way for me to grow and learn too. And maybe it's a question that might be outside of my scope, but I can either find the answer for them or I can bring in another expert and then I can learn the answer too. So I love any types of questions for my clients.
Well, I love that too. I was having a conversation with a previous podcast guest in regards to this exact thing where nobody wants to be the kind, like, to be around other people who just always are in the place of just knowing everything, right? Like it's such an admirable quality to be able to ask somebody a question and for them to be like, you know what, I don't actually know the answer, but I am definitely finding this out for you. That to me is like the best thing that could come up, because it just gives everybody the opportunity to learn and to grow and to know that nobody's perfect. Everybody is figuring different things out, but knowing that somebody's going to be there to actually help assist with this just can give, at least it gives me as a business owner, peace of mind.
I couldn't agree more, and there's nothing worse than someone just trying to like make up an answer off the top of their head.
Mm-hmm.
I 100% would rather know that I'm giving the right information, and I'm not above saying I have to look into this for you, because I think that's more important to find the correct information than trying to pretend like you know everything.
I feel like that has like definitely come back to bite you potential if that happens, because I know I have in my life had different conversations, not in regards to business advice, but just when you're in even just a social setting with people that you don't really know very well, and you find yourself being like pulled into a conversation where you're like, oh boy, this topic is not at all in my realm of something that I feel like I can speak into whatsoever. And anything you say, you're like, yeah, this is just not really my forte. And you either have to like laugh it off and be honest and be like, you know what, I have no idea what you're talking about, or figure out a better conversation to be a part of.
Yeah, or you can say things like, oh, tell me more.
That's exactly it. The classic lines to help yourself feel like you're not an idiot.
Yeah, or if it's me, I just somehow try to steer the conversation back to Disney somehow.
You know what? I like that. I might be taking that on as my new thing that I will adapt from you. How do we spin this to Disney?
Yeah. Disney
I love that.
I'm happy, so it's okay.
That's right. You can't have a negative conversation about Disney. That's awesome. So I wanted to jump back into talking about our Shine Summit. I again am just so incredibly honored and grateful that IG has come on board in the way that they are. And I think that it's been so great to meet some of the amazing women out of the IG office here, specifically in Saskatoon. And I've met some from Western Canada as well since this all began. And it's just been so great to hear a female perspective in a predominantly male industry such as the finance industry. And I just think that having IG on board for this Shine Summit is just going to open the eyes of so many women in business who who maybe feel like there might be questions about starting business or in business that they just aren't sure how to even ask, and maybe feel more comfortable being able to meet and talk with women of expertise in this industry versus having a one-on-one meeting with a male, which is absolutely fine. But I think that it's just so great that it shows how women can empower other women in business.
Yeah, I love that. I think any opportunity to get together as women, share ideas, and support each other is great. I'm a huge believer in lifelong learning and growth. So, I just love the idea of this whole Shine Summit. I'm sad that it got postponed because I was just so ready for it.
I know. Because we were going to be doing this in October, and it got to the point where Michelle and myself, who have co-founded this event, we had to just make the really difficult decision to just say, you know what, this event is so important, and this event is going to be so powerful to the women that are going to be in the room here. We don't want the lead up, because for me as an event coordinator, I fully believe that the lead up to an event has such huge importance in having the right people in the room, making sure that the people that are planning on attending feel engaged and that they're already excited and curious about what to expect from it before they even get there on the day of. And for me, knowing that these next months are still going to be very much so a limbo state in regards to how things are rolling out with this pandemic and the different phases as things open up, that Michelle and I just decided, you know what, we don't want the lead up to our event to be a touch and go, is this happening, isn't this happening, for the whole entire time leading up to it, the way, unfortunately, a lot of things ended up having to happen in March when everything suddenly shut down. And for us, we just decided, you know what, we're just going to push this further. And obviously, none of us know what is happening in the next little while. Things obviously can change at the drop of a hat, but we feel so confident now being able to move this until the end of April, where there's just time for us to be able to get things back on track. And I think so many women are making such big decisions in life and business right now, as everybody in the world is, because everything's changed so quickly. And so we just wanted to kind of give that its own space and time to kind of figure out things a little bit and to be able to come to this event in a state of, you know what, yeah, I am feeling like I know what direction I'm wanting to move this in, and now I'm ready to build together with community of women to figure out what my next years are going to look like in business.
That's such a good point, and it really makes perfect sense, and it just gives me more time to be excited.
Well, that's right. And we were like, now it's going to be even better than ever. You thought this was going to be great. Now it is going to be unbelievable. So why would you say, for yourself, in your opinion, with maybe clients you have or business associates, why do you think something like our Shine Summit and personal development is so important for women to invest in themselves and in their business?
I mean, like I said earlier, I think lifelong learning and growth is always important. And also just different stages in your life, you learn different things become important to you. And you just have to always adapt and grow and, just like learning new things all the time, because once you learn one new thing, sometimes that leads to other new things, which then leads to new ideas and new ways of doing business and meeting new people, and it's just never ending, really.
Yeah, I agree. And I feel like that's exactly what we're really hoping our Shine event is going to be for women, for there to be 200 women in all different ages and stages of life and business and different businesses and just leaders in industries. Some people own their businesses, some people don't. Doesn't matter what place you're in. If you're in a position of wanting to grow and you're wanting something more or something different, there is just no better way, in my opinion, than to surround yourself with women who are they're all in different situations, but they're all in a place of wanting to grow. I think that's the part that makes this so unique, because you don't have to be in the same industry. In fact, it's better if you're not, actually, because you get to just see how you can kind of pick and choose and see so many unique perspectives from so many different industries that you can kind of bring back to your own business. And I just find when I attend events like this and have been a part of things, it just gives me such a fresh perspective and almost just like a wind in my sails. It just gives me like an extra sense of energy of like, yes, this is why I'm doing this. And it's so encouraging to see other women who are in the same type of situation.
I think that's a great way to put it. And, you know, the fact that you point out that we're all in different industries, it's not that we can't learn from each other just because our job, our day-to-day might look a little different. I think you can take what you learn from other women and then adapt it to how it might work for yourself and just, you know, take it from there. And I just think gathering everyone together to learn together, grow together, it's just so exciting. And the atmosphere and the environment, I just know is going to be great.
Yes, we are so excited about it. And especially going through everything we've been going through these last few months, more than ever before, we are going to be so ready to gather in person and to get together that I think it's going to feel even sweeter than it would have before.
Yeah, definitely.
So before we sign off today, like what would be one piece of advice that you would leave somebody listening today who's dreaming up an idea of owning a business, starting something new, or just looking to grow in where they're at right now and are just feeling like they aren't sure how to make this plan for themselves of what to do next? What would be a piece of advice that you could leave with them tonight to help them kind of step forward in the right direction?
I guess all I can really say is it's never too early to create a plan. Even if it's just a dream or even just a thought in your mind, sit down with someone, talk it through, and make those actionable steps that'll help you reach your goals and your dreams.
Oh, I love that. So I am going to connect your contact info in the show notes today so that if someone listening is resonating with this and thinking, oh man, I just need to make this call and talk this through, you're there just to help guide them and move them in steps in the right direction. And this is what building community is all about.
I'm more than happy to help. And even if it's just what you might think is an easy question, I just would love to hear from you.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, Chelsea, for being on the show today. This has been so many nuggets of wisdom I've taken out of this, and now the wheels are spinning in my head of things that I want to step forward in my business. So thank you so much for all of your insight.
Thanks for having me, Kimberly.
This show would not be possible without you, my incredible listeners. It would mean the world to me if you would subscribe to Celebrating Simple Life on Apple Podcasts or download and listen on Spotify, Google Podcasts, or wherever you choose to listen. If you really want to make my day, leave a review. These reviews, ratings, and sharing screenshots of podcast episodes that were engaging for you on your Instagram stories and tagging friends that you think should hear the episode too really helps the podcast grow. It makes me so happy that I often select reviews to read on the show, and if yours is chosen, you will receive a special gift from me. Thank you for being a part of my mission to connect stories of business and life. Cheers to Celebrating Simple Life.